Madara Uchiha strong enough to take the entire brute force of the 8 gates and still keep going. Damn. So quite a few questions run through my mind within this chapter of Naruto. Some things went down that are a bit questionable, and just overall as a whole with this chapter, it kind of gave you a twist of an ending that some people I'm sure are going to hate, some people are going to love, and I could see people being split down the middle with this one. So as hinted with last week's chapter, Guy was readying his final attack, Night Moth, and in the beginning of the chapter you see Naruto and Sasuke each have a crest on each hand. Naruto has the sun, Sasuke has the moon, and I just really hope that that isn't setting up for some let's hold hands as we power up to do one final strong attack against Madara, because that would just be like weird as hell, and it would just be like, okay, yeah, it's been somewhat, I guess you could say, hinted in a way of them holding hands with all those little flashbacks of them being younger, what if scenarios, whatever, but that would just be like, no, please don't make that be the final thing where they need to hold hands, because it would just seem wrong. And I honestly thought that this was going to be the end of Guy. One big hint that it was that in the chapter, pretty much Kakashi had this flashback of him and Guy when they first met, how they were kids and their parents bumped into each other, and how Kakashi was kind of like putting his nose down at Guy, but his father told him, yo, you probably might be passed up by him someday. You see the determination of this kid where he's trying to like put his nose down at Guy. Guy's like, thanks for cheering us on. And you could just see that it felt like it was foreshadowing the way Kishimoto normally does it. You know, he gives you the flashback, and then that's the end of the character. So that's one of the things I'll say about this chapter that I felt was a bit betraying, because that we know Kishimoto's formula. You get a flashback, you get pretty much the in-depth backstory of this character, and then the character passes on. With this chapter, we got the in-depth, you know, we got the final flashback of how they very first met, how they basically became rivals due to, like, them meeting up when they were, like, well, Kakashi was entering the academy, and Guy's father and Kakashi's father was there, so it really felt like it was steering that way, and then it kind of just didn't do that. Although I did find it interesting that pretty much Kakashi was agreeing with everything that his father said, and said, yeah, my father was right, and pretty much what his father was saying was, he can become stronger than you one day, and he will make for a great rival, and there's a possibility that he means both of those. Yeah, my father was right, because at the end of the day, 8 gates is stronger than pretty much anything Kakashi got. Likewise with him being a great rival, because till the very end, a great rival doesn't necessarily mean that he has to be antagonistic towards you. He can just be that he motivates you to keep on going, and with everything Guy did, I'm sure in the back of Kakashi's mind, he still respected him and still felt as though, you know, this is a good person to keep me going, keep me grounded, and it just really felt like it was a tribute to their friendship and everything with getting that flashback, and I really felt like, yeah, this is it. And I mean, it felt like it was perfect, because, you know, he broke his rib cage, it was the end, and again, I was never expecting this to defeat Madara, and in fact, the way it turned out, I was like, yeah, this is it for him, because at the end of the day, Madara withstood the entire 8 gates, which, what the fuck is this guy? Like, Madara Uchiha, hands down, is the strongest, I'd say, shinobi that we've seen thus far, excluding right now what Naruto and Sasuke may be, because we don't know as of right now what they are, you know, the full extent of them, but, I mean, him having this Tentail Jinchuriki power has put him on a whole different plateau. Like, I don't think any other shinobi in the history of shinobis could have withstand, maybe Hashirama, maybe, and I'm still saying that's a far stretch, the full brute force of the 8 gates, because even with his rib cage broken, absolutely demolished there. Look, he looks like a half-eaten slug or some shit on the floor. He still has enough to summon one of those black spears and throw it at guys. So, Madara Uchiha, if he is not the strongest shinobi in the history of shinobi, and again, I'm not referring to, I'm excluding Naruto and Sasuke right now because we don't know the full extent of their power yet, then I don't know who is, because, I mean, at the end of the day, this dude, he just took 8 gates, and he's still alive. Like, 8 gates is supposed to be able to demolish anyone, and the fact that it was this impressive that he was able to use all these different techniques, Night Moth, Evening Elephant, everything, and it still wasn't enough to take him down. I mean, my gosh, Madara Uchiha, you could argue that he's hacked, you can argue whatever, but I think that that's what makes him even greater of an opponent and a villain for that matter, is that he can take anything you dish out at him and still keep going. And not to mention, it does make sense that he could take all that. I mean, the Ten Tails Jubi Jinchuriki should be able to do all this. It's been hyped up that this power is immense, and it's a good reason why. I mean, look, he took all of this attack and still kept going. I'm sure part of it is due to Madara definitely being a very formidable opponent, and I imagine anyone else that had that Ten Tails Jubi Jinchuriki power probably wouldn't have been able to take the full-on force and continue to live. But that's Madara. And I mean, at this point, with Naruto and Sasuke pretty much being revive them right at the nick of time or whatever, it was safe to assume that they would have been able to come at the right moment or whatever. I personally thought that he would have come right before Guy was about to go Night Moth and just say, you know, it's done, you don't have to go that far. First of all, he kicks one of those Black Spears, which we know those Black Spears, if they touch anybody, they're supposed to like just vaporize them or pretty much make them, you know, cease to exist. Like when they were hitting those Kage or whatever, they were just going straight through them and making them that they couldn't even revive via, you know, the Edo Tensei. It was canceling things out. So he kicked that. That automatically makes you start thinking, okay, this power that Naruto has, I'd imagine it's this power of the Sage. That's why he can pretty much touch these things and it wouldn't automatically vaporize him like it would any other different person. So that makes you question that right there, like what the fuck, that's supposed to immediately kick him out of existence. What the hell's going on? But then he comes when Guy is pretty much, his chakra is at its limit, is about to go out. It's like, you know, a second away from going out and kind of just touches him and gives him some chakra seemingly, or revitalizes him, like right when the flame's about to go out, bang, it starts to go back up. So does this mean that Naruto and Sasuke, or at the very least Naruto, are gods? Or, you know, because at the end of the day, the 8 gates is supposed to be, it's said many times again, this is the end. This is it. 8 gates, you use that, you're dead. You get this incredible power, but you're gone. And for Naruto to come and simply touch Guy, I really don't know how I feel about that, because on one half it's like, well, what is Naruto at this point? Does this mean he's some sort of fucking giant deity with this incredible power that he could kick Black Spears out the way and also revitalize people from, you know, dying from the 8 gates? But at the same time, it's kind of like, it was just so perfect for Guy to go, you know, the spirit of youth never dies. Everything just felt so perfect, the emotion, everything. And it's kind of like, so is he, like, you know, Guy is basically not going to die right now. It's just a temporary thing so that he doesn't die for now, but he'll die eventually. I mean, at the end of the day, regardless of what Naruto did touching him with the chakra thing, if Guy isn't severely impacted by this in life afterward, then it would kind of feel like BS. Because if Lee, and even though Lee wasn't as experienced as, like, Guy as far as his body and everything, but if Lee, with using only 5 gates, pretty much his body, he was almost not going to be able to be a shinobi ever again if it wasn't for Tsunade's perfect, you know, operation on him. Then Guy using the 8 gates, and yeah, okay, Guy is more experienced, probably his body is more in tune or whatever. Regardless of what, him using the 8 gates should make it that, yeah, he probably can never be a shinobi again as well. Possibly even there's no treatment. That's it. Like, he'll have maybe, you know, he won't die, but his life is fucked up after this, because there has to be some sort of repercussions. There has to be some sort of consequences for using the 8 gates. If Guy Sensei makes it out of this with pretty much, yeah, he's injured, his ribs are broken, but he's going to be fine, then it's going to feel like, wow, so the entire series, the 8 gates of death, using these 8 gates, it was never really going to do anything to Guy. Obviously, it's not that, oh, he did it and he still survived. It's obviously that, you know, Naruto, whatever the fuck he just did to him, touching him, kept the chakra going. But the touch shouldn't, you know, repair all the chakra things being ripped out, because, you know, it's supposed to, like, just destroy all your chakra connections within your body and just, you know, all your broken ribs, all your broken body parts. He technically, after this, should be, if not dead, since Naruto did that thing, whatever he did with the chakra to keep him going, he should be just absolutely wheelchair bound or something, because this is supposed to impact the body tremendously. And I feel if there is no repercussions whatsoever for Guy after this, then I'm calling BS on that, because this is the 8 gates. Regardless of what deity Naruto seems to have become at this point, there should be something towards it. There should be some sort of impact that the 8 gates had on Guy. Not that I want anything for that matter like that, because at the end of the day, you know, Guy is one of my favorites. He's just an incredible character, and to see him like that would be sad, but ultimately that's what should happen, because he used 8 gates, you know what I'm saying? So as a whole, for the most part with this chapter, it was freaking crazy. It was great up until the end, where I felt a little bit like, I don't know how I feel about this, because it was great. He used everything, but then Naruto kind of just revived him by touching him on the chest, and it kind of makes you wonder, what is the extent of Naruto and Sasuke at this point? If he can just revitalize someone after using 8 gates and kick spears out of the way, what type of power does he have? And I'm also curious, like, is Madara even going to be a threat at this point? He got his ribcage broken in. He's there looking like fucking a Gary from SpongeBob, like a dead slug or some shit. So what could he possibly do at this point against these 2 people that have the Sun Crest and the Moon Crest? Pretty much they're probably going to next chapter go like Sage of 6 Paths modes or some shit, Ashura and Indra mode. So what can he do when he's just there fucking destroyed? He must have some sort of healing technique, I guess, within him that is going to be able to mend all these wounds, because if not, then what threat is Madara going to have against them when they're pretty much, at this point, Madara, you know, threw a spear and Naruto's kicking these spears out, not getting affected by it. He's revitalizing guys, so Madara needs to revitalize very quick, get healed up very quick, because if not, it's just going to be like, oh my god, like, Naruto and Sasuke are gonna demolish this guy, and it's gonna be an embarrassing ass whipping. Overall, it was a good chapter. I felt the ending kind of changed the way I would have felt about everything, and it's not that I'm bloodlusting, that I just want to see death, oh, die, die, die. It's that it's just been hinted and foreshadowed for so many chapters now that the 8 Gates of Death is a sure way to die, and pretty much him using them, Naruto touching him, kind of revitalizing him. That's the only thing that, regarding this chapter, kind of makes me feel like, oh man, this could have been perfect if it wasn't for the way it was handled as far as Guy being rescued at the end. It's not that he was rescued, he was technically at death's door, but that's really the only thing that makes me feel a certain way, because everything else in the chapter was pretty fucking awesome. The flashback of how they first became rivals, Kakashi and Guy, Madara getting his shit kicked in, the 8 Gates pretty much being everything that it promised to be, and then some regarding damaging your opponents. All of that was good. It's just the ending where it's kind of like, so is Guy consequence free? Is this just a temporary relief from death, but he's going to die later on? And is his body going to be functioning normally after this? Is the 8 Gates pretty much just something that he can never do again after this? Like, a lot of questions to be asked regarding that ending, but as a whole, still, I'm going to say this one was very good. Like, it was stopped from being like a perfect. This could have been perfect. I'm not going to lie. If, like, Guy would have died, and then Naruto showed up, and then that was the end of the chapter, this would have been a perfect chapter. So I'm going to give this one 8 out of 10. Very good. It'll stop from being perfect mainly due to that ending that is still, like, very questionable. And it's kind of like, it cheapened a little bit of the moments that we had in this chapter. A lot of the sad moments and a lot of the, yeah, this was the final moment from Guy and he left the world with an impact. What do you guys think, though? Do you feel as though this whole Guy Sensei being, revived at the last second or being stopped from dying with Naruto touching his chest, do you call BS on that? Did that piss you off? Do you feel as though it just ruined the whole moment? Also, how strong do you think Naruto is at this point? Naruto and Sasuke, if he can kick those black spears and heal people by touching them. Do you think that they're gods at this point? And do you think that they're going to hold hands to add the sun crest and the moon crest to make this giant power? But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Thumbs up for Guy Sensei 8 Gates being pretty much, for the most part, all that it was cracked up to be. Everything that it was said, it broke Madara's rib cage and had him there looking like a dead slug. While it didn't kill him, it did, for the most part, what it set out to do. And Guy Sensei for the win. I'm Finette World, and as always, people, have an awesome day.